So it looks like we have a major escalation in Trump's Iran war. And let me show you this. This is from Fox and Trump's people. It says, breaking, thousands of Iraqi Kurds just launched a major ground offensive into Iran. U.S. official confirms to Fox. And that's what you have on Fox News. They're talking about Iraqi Kurds launched ground offensive in Iran. So again, we're talking about ground assault. We just heard about this just recently, just hours ago. There's a report about talks. Netanyahu shows up to the White House and is like, hey, we got this plan. Let's arm the Kurds. The Kurds then attack Iran. Trump and Netanyahu, U.S. and Israel talking about this stuff. Then involves the CIA. And then evidently, I guess the report came out and there's like, okay, now everyone knows about it. Let's just go ahead and attack. And now this is Fox News talking about the attack right here. Listen.
Fox News alert. We told you at the top of the hour, big news that thousands of Iraqi Kurds just launched a new ground offensive in Iran. And White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked about it today at the briefing.
The Trump administration reportedly is considering arming Kurdish forces in the hopes of inspiring a popular uprising in Iran. Could you comment on that report?
I could comment on the fact that the president has held many calls with partners, allies, and leaders in the region, in the Middle East. He did speak to Kurdish leaders with respect to our base that we have in northern Iraq. But as for any report suggesting that the president has agreed to any such plan is completely false and should not be written.
All right, so she's trying to say everything you hear is all false, don't believe it, etc., but they appear to be blatantly lying on this stuff. Again, Fox News is saying, hey, they attacked it, but Levin's like, no, we had nothing to do with it. Let's just read what they say. This is from Fox. It says, breaking, thousands of Iraqi Kurds launched a ground offensive into Iran. A U.S. official tells Fox News. Okay, so how many is thousands? I don't know, just thousands. So it's not a small assault. Earlier Wednesday, Secretary Higgs has said the U.S. military is not arming an insurgency inside Iran, though he suggested other parts of the U.S. government could potentially be involved. So he's hedging there a bit. And what I think is kind of going on, and there's any number of ways you could read this, but chances are, if I had to bet, the U.S. then would give weapons to Israel. Israel then would give weapons to the Kurds. And voila, we can say we didn't give weapons to the Kurds. Right? It's stupid. It's basically weapons washing. It's what appears to be happening to me. That's just my opinion on that stuff, make that clear. But I think we're clearly involved in this stuff because even, Higgs is like, though he suggested other parts of the U.S. government could potentially be involved, chances are the CIA. So the reports are saying intel, weapons, etc. Then it says at the White House, Press Secretary Karen Leavitt denied reports that the Trump administration has agreed to arm Kurdish forces. So this is where it becomes a sticky point. Like, what are they lying about? I'll read through it. U.S. in talks with Iranian Kurdish militants over anti-regime operations. Again, the question is, are we arming the Kurds? Iraq-based groups have asked Trump administration for intelligence, weapons, and training support, right? Tell us where to hit, give us weapons, right? Show us how to use said weapons. And this is what it says. Iranian Kurdish armed groups are in talks with the Trump administration about whether they could play a role in the ongoing U.S.-Israeli military campaign. Further down, it's talking about the CIA. One of the people said the CIA had been leading the efforts, okay? Two people categorized the efforts as a joint Israeli-U.S. initiative. Also, the CIA declined to comment. A former CIA official said the agency, quote, has a very good relationship with the Iranian Kurds and has for many years. So I'll let you guys be the judge of that. They're not denying the phone calls. They're not denying contact. They're even saying right here, I guess, Trump's talking to someone in the Kurdistan Democratic Party of Iran. And that's the first time someone's from the U.S. has done that. It says a reported first by a U.S. president. So I'll just say this. I wouldn't doubt that it's happening. And, literally Fox News is reporting that the war is expanding, basically. They're going to try to make the case that it's easy and everything's going great. I wouldn't say it that way. Let me show you this. This is from the White House. This is how they portray things. They make it try to look like a video game, right? And it's sick. So it says courtesy of red, white, and blue. And the problem is if you treat this stuff like video game, this is again communication from the White House, then you don't realize that there's real people on the ground. They just oh wow, it's like a video game. Look how awesome our weapons are. They show explosions, this kind of stuff. I'm telling you guys, there's real people on the ground. I never want to lose sight of that. And whenever you ask the Fox, or the Trump people about this stuff, they just kind of blatantly lie. I don't know what else to say. other than just tell you what's happening. Trump says everything's going fantastic. Listen to this.
We're doing very well on the war front, to put it mildly, I would say. Somebody said, on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15. And we're going to continue to do well. We have the greatest military in the world by far.
So he just said that today. Somebody asked on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said a 15. That's according to Trump. Here's the thing. So if you are indeed giving weapons to the Kurds attack Iran, you're looking at basically making it seem that the U.S., well, not making it seem, but just the U.S. is, backing a group to get involved with Iran, and that delegitimizes any kind of movement in Iran. If you want to do regime change and you want it to come from the people of Iran so they can choose their own fate, how does it look when the U.S. is like giving weapons and intel and support to, an outside group? It's like, hey, go attack there. Looks terrible, and this weakens any sort of, real change in Iran. I just want to make sure that that's clear. And it'd be like just think of it this way. What if Russia gave a bunch of weapons to people in Mexico, just for example, and then people in Mexico like come in and attack the U.S.? Like, how would that look? This is essentially what we're doing here. The whole thing is ugly. It's expensive. It costs money. It costs lives. I want to make that clear. Everything is shutting down. You have this. This just came out just a few minutes ago also. Gulf insurance costs soar 12-fold despite Trump guarantee. All right, Trump was saying, hey guys, buy my shipping insurance. We'll cover you. But it's like, I don't believe you're gonna do that. So, I mean, I guess the markets aren't trusting it. And Trump's trying to tell you that everything's going great, but they're running out of munitions here. Gulf states in race to secure more U.S. interceptors. The problem is, as you guys know, these drones that Iran can use are cheap in comparison. It's like, $20,000 kind of thing. And it takes millions of dollars on the U.S. side to shoot down just one of this stuff. So
I don't think, we thought about the math problem we were going to have here very quickly. The Iranians have a lot of ballistic missiles and drones. We have interceptors in the region. We have air defense systems. We have Patriots. We have SM-6s on ships, SM-3s. We can deal with some of this. But if they have more offensive assets than we have defensive, we get into trouble here possibly really quickly if our magazine depth goes to 0. And they can then shoot these things, freely around the region. And when you don't have a goal and you don't have a timeline, that's when you wind up putting more Americans at risk. We already have 6 Americans that have paid the ultimate price. We don't want to see any more.
The math doesn't add up in the long term, but this is a lot of stuff that Trump is doing. And then this is actually coming from Israel here. Israel expects weeks-long war against Iran. So for Trump to tell you that everything's great on a scale of 15, it doesn't sound like that to me. I'll read it. Israel is preparing for a multi-week military onslaught alongside the U.S. to fully, quote, dismantle key pillars of Iran's theocratic state and the Revolutionary Guards that protect the Islamic Republic, said current and former Israeli officials. So that's what the word is like. It's going to be weeks. And again, the Kurds just launched an assault today.
That's what Hegseth was complaining that it was front page news about these 6 service members who were killed.
That's not what the secretary said, Caitlin, and that's not what the secretary meant, and you know it. You know you are being disingenuous. We've never had a secretary of defense who cares more.
Drones get through or tragic things happen. It's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad.
Yeah,
As you know, we cover the deaths of U.S. service members under every president.
The press does only want to make the president look bad. That's a fact, especially you.
So she always goes on and on. Oh, you guys are just really, really mean. You just don't like Trump. You just want to make him look bad. It's like, we just tell you what is going on. We just show you what he says, and they get upset. And the crazy thing about when you listen to the MAGA people or people who watch Fox, they just repeat stuff that Karen Levitt says. Like, they just make themselves look like idiots. I don't know what else to say. But this is where we're at. This is more Trump, quote, actively considering U.S. role in Iran after conflict ends. So again, if we're arming the Kurds and if we're getting involved with replacing the regime and, setting their leadership, it's just like they become a puppet to the USA, and it delegitimizes any sort of real change in Iran if it's all backed by the USA. So just make sure that's clear. And I know I get the point from the Fox. He's like, well, we have to back them because we want to have people that we can control or whatever, and it'll make everyone safer. But it'll never solve the problem in Iran again if the local people don't see that it's coming from local people, not from outside forces. This is how the fighting is. It's hard to honestly keep track of all this stuff. But I do want to show you like it is a fallout war. U.S. and Israel strike Iran, and Tehran retaliates across the region. This is coming from Bloomberg. Reported explosions, so that would be the orange on the map. It's just all over. U.S. and Israeli airstrikes, that would be the yellow, and then the red would be Iran and proxies response. It is all throughout the region. And I heard it just came out a few minutes ago. I think there was a missile or something, or probably a drone, headed towards Turkey, I think. And then the worry at the moment is that is NATO going to get involved? And it's like you just have all these forces converging, and then you're stuck there for years. It's ugly, guys. It's ugly.
That's right. Very quickly, Derek.
Mr. President, I have to tell you something. You're the only person in the world that could put together this coalition. You are the only person in the world. I hope the American people understand what we're talking about here today. You're meshing high tech with the hammer. You're putting these guys with the hard hats with the 100-pound brain nerds, and that's gonna be the future. Sorry, I love you guys. And so, Mr. President, the thing that the American people need to understand is that you're not thinking about an election cycle. You're thinking about the next generation. And what you're doing today by having this coalition of people is making sure that the future generations, our children, are not going to have to be concerned about losing a war. And that means so much, especially in this time now. If people really take a step back and appreciate this is actual visionary leadership, and it's going to take care long before or long after we're all gone, sir. Your efforts today are going to make America great into the foreseeable future. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Derek.
Whenever they talk about this stuff, it's just like always opposite days. So they're like, oh, well, with you, we don't have to worry about losing a war. And it's like, I guess that's what they're talking about. They're talking about losing the war. You can hear their language there. I also want to show you a response from Bernie Sanders today. We just gave the Pentagon nearly $1 trillion. Then Trump asked for $500 billion more. Now he wants even more money for a war he started in Iran without congressional approval. The answer is no. We need to invest in the American people, not more endless wars. So that's what's going on. I'll give you guys an update when I have it. But as I showed you guys, it looks like that the war is indeed escalating in Iran, and multiple groups are now getting involved. Thank you for your time, and I'll catch you on the next video.